Hello everybody and welcome back to the second episode of my podcast. Today I would really like to talk to you about all the stuff I've been knitting in this past week. I've cast on quite a few projects. I have made some lovely project bags as well that I would like to share with you. I am definitely dreaming about knitting some other lovely things as well that we can talk about, and I would love to hear from you as well, of course. First of all, I already had this little guy, but I now thought to myself that it would be nice to add him kind of to the knitting display setup. He doesn't have a proper name yet, I think. He seems like a bit of a threat to me though, but this is he or she, probably she. In this household everyone's a she, even though the cat is called Bert, but she is a she though. And this just to me seemed like the gayest little frog that they had because of the lavender sprig on the sweater. Absolutely adorable, and I figured she should have a little spot in the knitting display. Don't worry, I'll be careful when I light my oil lamp. We shan't be roasting Fred. I think it's a Fred, even though I think it's also a girl. I think it's a she Fred. That seems fine. Is it just because Fred the frog sounds funny? Oh gosh. Alright. But without further ado, let's jump into the rest of this episode. So first let's get started with the finished things. Since I last spoke to you, I am going to slightly refer to my knitting notes that I've started being a bit more diligent about keeping so that I can actually give the correct yarn brands and fiber composition, so I'm hoping that's going to help me a little bit. So the first thing I finished is what I already talked a little bit about in the previous episode. It is this wonderful burstling shawl. Thus far I have not yet added any pearls to the trim. I don't know if I ever will, to be honest, because I am having a little bit of trouble envisioning how I would actually go about that, and I do think it's already absolutely adorable like this. Let me show you the little stitch pattern here. I've added a little bit of just stripes over here. It's wonderfully soft. I really like it. It is taller than I am, I think, so I'm glad that I modified the pattern just a little bit with how many increases I was doing on the sides, because if I hadn't, I think it might have been 1.5 times my length, and I'm already almost 6 feet tall, so I think this is fine. Especially last time I think I said that both of the yarns I was using were non-superwash. I was actually wrong. This is part of why I started keeping better knitting notes. So the blue one is a 100% superwash from Olivia and Oliver. It is beautiful. The variegation in it is really pretty. It really reminds me of the sea. The purple one, or the lilac one, is a king fiber, also 100% superwash, hand-dyed in London in the color Pop Star. I think that one is actually my favorite because it is just so soft and so dreamy, and lilac is my favorite color. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. I think it's really dreamy, and I'm really excited to start wearing it when the temperatures drop a bit more, which I think most of the knitting and crochet people are really excited for the temperatures to drop a bit more, but it's starting to look a little bit gloomy, so fingers crossed, I guess. One of the other finished objects that I forgot to show in the last episode is this little neckerchief. I'll link the pattern down below. It's just a very simple pattern. I think kind of the little loops that you make to make up the pattern are just really cute. I made this one for my girlfriend, so I'll be sure to post this episode after her birthday. This is like pink is definitely more my, but this type of pink is one that she also enjoys. So I think she'll like this one, and I think it's going to look really cute on her. I just really hope she likes it. So another thing that I have actually started and finished last week are these project bags. I've made a few of them, and I think my plan for now is to just go through them, kind of walk you through the project bags and also walk you through what's in them currently. So I've used this lovely pattern from, I think she's called Svetlana, I'll link it down below. For me, as someone that is not super proficient at sewing, it was really useful that the pattern just gave you all the correct dimensions for the fabric to cut out. And then there was also an accompanying video that showed you precisely all the steps that you needed to do. That was really useful, and it really helped me to actually not, for a change, make any mistakes in my sewing. I think this one is my favorite. This is the mini version of the pattern. and it is my favorite. It was also my least favorite to make, but I think visually it's kind of my favorite one that I made, because I don't know if you can see, but this little fabric trim over here is very sheer, which made it an absolute demon to sew. But I think it adds just this darling little detail, and I've added this little pin that I got from my girlfriend, which just follows the aesthetics of this bag perfectly. And I also added these little charms on the straps as well. I had so much fun making this, and this has been super useful for taking my knitting with me. I also use this kind of squishy interfacing fabric that also makes them just like, I don't know, really nice to kind of hold on to, I guess. What is currently in this is one of my socks that I am making right now. I have one sock, oh, my child goose. I have one sock finished, so I guess I'll just show you that one. The other one I'm kind of like halfway done with. This one, I thought I had actually used 2.25mm needles, so I casted on the amount of stitches that I would for 2.25mm needles. But halfway through knitting it, I realized I had actually been using 2.5mm needles, which was a little bit unfortunate, because that means that the fit will not be how I envisioned it. But I was actually thinking about it, and I tried this one on, and that just means that it's going to be a bit longer and a bit more giving and slouchy than I thought it would be. Which is actually fine, because I am a little bit in my slouchy sock knitting era. So it fits that vibe quite well. It just was not what I thought I was knitting at the time, which is completely fine. I just do a regular heel flap and gusset heel. I really like it. It works out well for me. It's the only way I knit them cuff down. This is just kind of the way I have learned how to knit socks from the Crazy Sock Lady, so thank you so much. And also I have been inspired by the and also I've been feeling inspired to do contrast heel and toe from Molly from a Homespun House. She's been using her hand-dyed yarns to make these wonderful socks with the really pretty contrasting heel and toes. Sometimes a contrasting cuff as well, and on her socks they always just look so nice, and I've been inspired to also try some contrasting heel and toe socks. Next up is this lovely project bag, a little bit more autumnal colors with my little Snoopy pin on it. For this one I have these little ceramic charms on the straps that I made actually at some point. I never really found a purpose for them, so it was really nice actually to be able to hang them from here. I originally thought maybe I would use some of them as earrings or necklaces, but they're just kind of like too bulky, and the colors didn't turn out as vibrant as I would, so I was a little bit discouraged from using them as jewelry. But I think for something like this they're actually really cute. As you can see, what is in there currently is also quite autumnal. These socks are actually the socks I started knitting with that Sourwall Crazy yarn that I showed last time in my acquisitions part. They're turning out really nice. This is what I was saying about how I'm kind of in my big slouchy sock knitting era. So this is the first pair I am purposefully trying to make. Maybe not quite knee-high socks, because for me I don't think I can get a pair of knee-high socks out of one bowl. Also for this one I already failed with that, but that is fine. And also experimenting again with the contrasting heel and toe. I think this color is so delightful. I just casted on, how many was it again? 80 stitches on 2.5mm needles, and I just knitted 100 rounds, and after 25 rounds of 1x1 cuff. And after that I did 5 stitches decrease every 5 stitches until I had 15, and then 5 more to kind of even it out, and then I went into the heel flap. And I think they turned out really well. I think because the Sourwall is kind of a thinner yarn, for me it was also a little bit reassuring to use a different type of sock yarn for the heel and toe, because this one is a little bit sturdier, a little bit thicker, and a little bit squishier. I think this is an Undercover Otter sock yarn. I'm not 1000% sure, but pretty close to it. but I don't quite remember what the color name of this was, because this was more just like something I still had in my stash, and I just like adding little bits of it here and now whenever I feel like it. So this was one of those moments. The second one is also over halfway finished. I did run out of dissolvable crazy, unfortunately. I thought I even weighed them, and I thought there was going to be a possibility that I was going to make it all the way through, but apparently unfortunately not. So for my second sock, I'm currently kind of around this part, and I needed to switch to a different color for this part. I consulted my girlfriend because she is much better at matching colors together than I am, and with her advice I ended up going with this one, because from my stash this was kind of the one that we felt like could blend in the best with the other colors that are already indissoluble. And then I will go back into the contrasting toe, of course. I think they will turn out fine. This is also the part that is definitely going to be most like in the shoe. Even if I wear clogs, this is the part that you would see the least. And it's fine with me. I just wanted to make like a really cool, tall, luscious pair of socks, and I don't mind to have to supplement it a little bit with different colors. It's fine with me. Alright, this is going to be the last project bag for now that I made, because I ran out of my interfacing fabric. I did cut some more fabric pieces to make another one of this size. I think this is the medium size. The previous one I showed was the small, the one before that the mini. There is also a large, but I don't have any current plans to make a blanket or anything, or like a super big sweater. So for now, I don't necessarily feel like I need a bigger project bag. For me now, the medium is more than sufficient, because currently in this one, I have my ballet cardigan project. Here, let me just grab it. I have just split for the sleeves, so it was an exciting part in the pattern. It is a raglan top-down construction, so you can see here the little raglan increases that I think are turning out really well. I'm really excited about working with this yarn. As I mentioned in the previous one, I haven't really knitted that much with a DK weight on 4mm needles. For me, usually I am more comfortable around the 2.5 to 3mm range, but this fabric or this yarn is just so interesting. The colors are very fun. I thought it was going to be more pink. There's a lot more yellow in it than I originally thought, but I'm fine with that. I think it's going to look really interesting, and this is the one that I'm going to combine with the Undercover Otter Squirm Sock in Deadite. Such a fun and luscious color, and I'm going to combine that a little bit with this Stephen West glow hair yarn as well. So I think that's going to be really fun. I think they will look nice together. I'm going to use these for the I-cord edging, and I think that's going to look super duper fun, and I'm really excited about it. Oh, I forgot to show you kind of the details on this project bag. Let me just show you the little charms I attached to these, just these little gummy bears. And what I also liked about the detail on this bag is this little carrot trim that I put on there. The inside is just a simple floral cotton, and the other side has some different little gingham cotton colors as well. I have enjoyed making these bags so much. I really recommend this pattern, and especially in combination with the video tutorial. It was some of the most like precise and like well thought out sewing I have ever been able to do. So big thank you to Svetlana. Next up, I thought we could delve into a few of my more languishing knit whips. I couldn't find one of them, and I really looked, which was kind of devastating, but I think that one has been languishing for 2 years, I think, so maybe it's just time to restart that project, because I think I was also trying to combine 2 patterns, which maybe was a bit ambitious for me in that stage of my knitting journey. And I think I was looking at the pattern again, and it's just, I forgot the name. I'll put a picture up here. It's just this lovely, cute little kind of like librarian pullover. It looks so cute, and I know even 2 years ago I was able to figure out the little crossing over cables, so I think that should be absolutely fine. Now I still have some of the yarn I was going to use for the other project, but I also have a bunch of other yarn in my stash. I don't think I would need to buy anything for this project. So I'll just see, I don't know, I think that would be a lovely autumnal project for me, but unfortunately I can't show you the whip because I've lost it. So sad. Okay, next up I would like to show you this languishing whip of mine that has been languishing since last year. I'm confident that I'm going to finish it because last year at some point I was in this big phase of knitting these little kind of capelets for myself. They would often hit kind of around here on the shoulder. They were in quite a high needle size and a high gauge for me. I think needle size was 6mm or 8mm. Quite big for me, so of course I wanted to adjust the pattern to make it in a fingering weight yarn as well. So that is this whip for me. There's just this little seed stitch collar that is super cute, and then you do increases to make up the rest of the body. This is a lovely yarn. I think it's from Black Moon Dyers in the UK. They used to be carried at my local yarn store, and this is by far my favorite color, so I've been saving it for a special project, and I think this is going to be that project. I still think I am going to finish it. The pattern is actually from this lovely knitting book, Outlander Knitting. To be completely honest, Outlander, I didn't buy this book because I'm the biggest fan of the show, to be completely honest. I have watched little bits of the show here and there, but I think for me the thing I actually liked the most about this show were the knits. So when I saw that they had this book available, like even just this one that she was wearing in the show, was Claire, that Claire was wearing in the show. Oh, and here actually you see kind of the original pattern of the little capelets. I just really enjoy them. I love these kind of more medieval inspired, kind of almost means fantasy knits. I think it's really lovely. There's some lovely patterns in this book. I should definitely make some more. I should definitely make some more of them. Again, here you see a bigger version of that pattern that I used. So now for this one, I am trying to size it down to fit a more fingering weight yarn. When I started this pattern, I was not that good at doing that though, and I hope the stitch markers are going to be enough for me to remember how I was doing that. I should reread the pattern probably a little bit, but I am excited to finish this for sure. I think it will get finished at some point. I'm not in a rush though. I think the temperatures are hopefully going to slowly start dropping, but I don't think the temperatures are in a rush to drop either, so I shouldn't be in a rush to finish knitting this, that's for sure. Next up are these little socks, colorwork socks that I was making. I am going to be honest, and I feel really uninspired by these. I kind of don't like the colors that I chose, even though they're quite close to what the pattern asked for. I think they're kind of just like this weird, awkward thing where part of them, they look very autumnal because there's little pumpkins on there, but partially they also look very spring-like because of the colors that I chose. Ideally, I would like a darker green. I would like a lighter background color is fine, but I'm not sure about the lilac, and I would like a darker pumpkin color as well. So I don't know about finishing this. Right now they're on this little piece of barber cord, which was great because I really wanted to use the needles that were currently in there for something else. I only have made like half of the first one, which is the hardest half because of the color work. I did weave in all the ends. These are not ends, these are still connected to their corresponding like yarn skeins, so I don't know. Also the little flowers, everything about them to me just looks really spring-like. Also, I feel like with the way I caught my floats, the pumpkins, it looks like there's kind of a line running in the middle of them, which makes them look a bit like butts, and that's fine when you're making peaches, but I don't know about it when I'm trying to make pumpkins. So I feel rather unsure about continuing these, but I'm not putting pressure on myself. There's no needles trapped in there that I need for anything else, so I'm just going to bide my time and see how I feel about them later in the season, basically. So those were all my finished projects and on my current whips. I do definitely have some other plans in the works. I bought a couple of patterns. I'm kind of waiting until either I finish another project bag or until I finish that ballet cardigan to cast on the best vest by James and Watts. I'm still excited about doing that. I just don't want to overwhelm myself with having too many projects on the needles. I think in the end I would have around 5 project bags, and I think 5 projects is kind of the maximum of active whips I want to have going at once. So, and because I already cut the fabric for one of them, I think I should just make them. I think I maybe want to make my girlfriend a couple of project bags as well. I don't know, I've just been really enjoying it. I've not been buying fabric for making these project bags. I've just been using the fabric that I've already had in my stash. So it's been really fun. The only thing I had to buy a bit more of was the interfacing fabric, which at this time I bought a different, less squishy interfacing fabric, but I think that's also going to be nice actually, because these are quite squishy, which makes them feel nice, but that means they're also a bit more bulky maybe. So I'm just going to play around with different versions and different interfacing fabrics, so we'll see how that goes. Other projects I'm excited about. Okay, I am really I'm really excited about the Event Horizon cowl. I can't wait to cast it on, but I am trying to pace myself. I want to finish my socks first, and I don't want to rush into buying more yarn when I still have some of the, well, I don't have to finish using all of the yarn that I bought last time before I get to buy new yarn, because this is just like a very specific project I have in mind. I already know which yarns I want to be using. I partially want to use that lovely slime green Undercover Otter yarn, because that would just match the green in this cowl perfectly. And then I want to use this King Fiber yarn as well, which I think is going to complement each other wonderfully, and I love to bring a little bit of pink in there as well. So I think that's going to be really fun, and I can't wait for it, but I will wait for it. I will take some time to get ready for that, because I want to at least finish the socks, get further along with the ballet cardigan. This is more like a next month project. We'll see where we land. I've also seen this wonderful mohair sweater pattern. I don't always feel great towards mohair because of I am quite sensitive, so I don't want to knit something for myself that is going to be very itchy, but I am quite intrigued with this pattern and kind of challenging myself to knit a full garment out of like a lovely variegated mohair. I think that could be very nice, but I'm still thinking about it. I'm not committed to that course of action yet. Beyond that, after I finish my 2 current pairs of socks, I want to use this part of this other Sourbowl Crazy color that I still have quite a bit of left. I used it for those leg warmers that I showed you in the last episode, and I want to make the petite knit ruffle socks with this. I think that's going to be very cute. I love the idea of having like a little ruffle sock, especially one that I knitted myself, and I think especially in these colors it's going to be right up my alley, and I think it's going to be really cute. I've never made a ruffle sock before, so I just really wanted to get expert instructions in what would make the best type of ruffle sock. And beyond that, I am also kind of starting to think about maybe making some hats. I'm not sure, I'm not the biggest hat wearer. Last season I made a couple of woolly bucket hats for myself. For me, I almost always am wearing noise-cancelling headphones, often inside as well, but especially when I go outside. It's also a little bit of a challenge for me to figure out something I can comfortably wear on my head while still being able to wear my noise-cancelling headphones. One of my favorite patterns from last year was this little bonnet that I made at some point. I don't have it with me right now. I think it's still in storage under my bed currently. I'll definitely pull it out when the weather starts getting cooler again and I'll show you. But I have been watching a lot of people make these lovely Oslo hats by Petite Knit. Again, it's a DK weight pattern. I always just imagined a fingering weight for hats, but I've been seeing people knit them a lot and they do look really nice and luscious and thick, and I'm hoping that I would still comfortably be able to fit my noise-cancelling headphones over them. I'm not committed to that yet. I haven't bought the pattern or anything, so I don't know. I'm just toying with the idea. I've really been liking that Life in the Long Grass yarn that I've been knitting that ballet cardigan with, which is a DK weight as well, so I might peruse There are other DK weight variegated yarns, because especially when it's like a plain stockinette pattern, I do love a variegated yarn, which is partially of why I have not been super interested in knitting cables and stuff, because it often doesn't make the most sense to use a variegated yarn for a cable pattern, because either the variegated yarn or the cable, they just kind of like cancel each other out and swallow each other whole, and the end result isn't always the most cohesive, I guess. But I don't know, let's just play around with it this upcoming cold season. I think that was all I wanted to share for today. This is just a little midway through update on what I've been doing, what I've been enjoying, what I've been knitting, and what I've been dreaming about knitting. Last but not least, certainly, I am hoping to kind of soonish get more into spinning again, but there's a little bit more of, I have a spinning wheel, but figuring it out properly has been a challenge for sure. So I need to just really set aside some time and commit to figuring that out, and I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. I think I need it to be a little cooler outside. And because I introduced Fred at the beginning of this video, I also wanted to introduce my darling little cat, Bert. As I mentioned at the beginning, Bert is her name. She's a bit sleepy right now, but I just wanted to sound off this video together with Bert. I love her so much. She's gonna bite me in a little bit once she wakes up enough to realize that she does not want to be held like this. That's fine though. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!